We have another local news story here. Now, we don't normally cover that, but I think that it is important. We sometimes cover it in the case of mass shootings, etc., when there is a larger point to be made, and there is, unfortunately, in this case. This is out of Miami. It is about a parking dispute. Unfortunately, a lot of small-time disputes have started in South Florida and mushroomed into national issues. So in this case, we have Robert Fenton. He's one of the neighbors involved. The other one is Robin Cross. He's a producer at WSVN 7 News Miami. She comes home one day and she parks in a place that Fenton doesn't like. And apparently he's taping her because they've had this altercation once or twice before. And she starts yelling at him. Okay, not that interesting. She starts cursing. Not that interesting. But wait till you hear what she says at the end. Let's watch.
You're just blocking my driveway.
You know what? You are fucking blocking the right of way of every car that passes down this road.
You are blocking my driveway.
Right of every car that passes down this road.
You cannot block my driveway.
You cannot park in the street either. It's illegal. His car got hit, and the cop told us every car on this fucking street could get fucking ticketed. Yes, I use the word fucking if you haven't heard it before, except for your fucking son who dates a fucking nigger. Said it out loud, finally.
So she puts together the news. She is an investigative segment producer at Channel 7 down in Miami, or she was until this got out. And she worked at a local news radio station. She worked at CBS 4 before, the Sun Sentinel, CBS 12 News in West Palm Beach, and now WSVN, etc. And the list goes on and on and on of all the different places that she has apparently polluted the news with her point of view. But it's not about her. It's about the larger issue, which is apparently these people have been bottling this up, and it's a lot of people. And to this day, it shocks me. Every time I hear it, I can't quite believe it. So she's apparently been wanting to get that off her chest for a long, long time. And you know, is it a coincidence that we have on local news scary pictures of minorities, crime, crime, crime? Well, is it proportionate to the amount of crime that happens within the different races? Different studies have borne out that it is not. But hey, it gets better ratings when you scare the majority of your viewers, which oftentimes are white, with scary pictures of the others. Fill in the blank, and oftentimes, of course, it is minorities and African Americans. And we think, well, maybe that's just what sells, or you have one excuse or another excuse, or sometimes it's just the people doing the news who apparently have those biases, but they never shared them with you until, as she said, finally she said it. I'll get to that quote again one more time if you didn't hear it clearly at the end of that video. But I'm just going to turn back to the Fentons for 1 second. So there was the dad, Robert Fenton, and then there's Avery Fenton, who's a lawyer in Fort Lauderdale and a former public defender in West Palm Beach. So he has been beseeching WSVN to fire her. And he wrote this, he said, "I'm not looking to ruin her life or future employment, but I do think the punishment should be commensurate with what happened. Your employee reduced my girlfriend to nothing other than a slur based off of the color of her skin last night. I'm simply looking to see your employee terminated, which I believe in the light of the events is fair recourse." Now, look, recourse for the Fentons, I feel bad for them and they had to put up with this nonsense, etc. But to me, okay, that's one thing. To me, the much more important thing is, how many times did she put into news stories that bias, that stereotype, that thing that was lingering in the back of her head, and maybe she didn't even know she was putting into the news stories. Given how vicious she was in that tape, maybe she did. But most of the time, it's subconscious, and you don't realize you're doing it. How many times did that get on air? How many times did it pollute the airwaves and get into people's heads? And look, I often go back to this, but it's really important. There's a brown-eyed, blue-eyed experiment that a teacher in Kansas did. She separated the class into kids with blue eyes and brown eyes and told one set of kids that they were inferior and the other kid that they were superior. So the problem, and it was an amazing experiment. She flipped it, the same thing happened, even though they had just gone through the experiment in the other way. Not only did the people that were told they were superior think that they were superior, the most damaging part and the most heartbreaking part was that the people who were told they were inferior believed it. and they started doing worse in school, and the effect was nearly immediate, and it was significant. So we've been telling these people through the news all along, these biases that the people who created the news had, but they never admitted it, and anytime you brought it up, they'd say, oh, that's just liberals who want to be victims, and it's all not true. Racism in America, never. So I draw your attention to that last quote if you didn't hear it right. She said, I said it out loud, finally. And I know that these are times where people feel emboldened to say those things out loud. In a sense, I'm glad they're out of the closet. But what was never said out loud has been haunting us for time immemorial in America. And now it's being said out loud, and it is super ugly to hear, but at least you know it now. So yes, that particular station has taken some action. She's at least been suspended, and we will see if they take further action on this. But the more important story is what's in the back of all of our heads and how did it get there? And a lot of times it got there through the news, and it got there through folks like this who believed these things and kept it inside, at least in terms of what they said to others, but in their actions, unfortunately, spoke volumes. You just watched a video by the Young Turks, home of the revolution. If you'd like to get a lot more than that, get the full show by becoming a member. tytnetwork.com/join.